It is a fair point. And look, fans are fans. That's all we are. You don't expect us to know what's going on inside huddles, and you don't expect us to be rational because that's boring and not how it works. All that said, have we boiled Klay Thompson? And follow me here. This might sound stupid, but that's not new for me, so it's okay. But have we boiled down the Klay Thompson situation to simply like we like you if it goes in and we don't if it doesn't? And maybe people are like, well, yeah, that's life, that's sports.
It's a make or miss league, Mark.
It is, but I thought throughout the conversation this year that talk had more depth. There was some talk and some thought being put into Klay's mental state, his decision-making. Not just are you shooting, but what shots are you picking? And what are you trying to say to the audience, to your coach, to yourself with those shots that you take? Because I would argue that if you love 35 points off the bench and 13 of 22, well, then you kind of got to live with it when it's 7 for 22. Like, you watched that game. Were they good shots or not? And I got completely other set of problems with the Golden State Warriors, which is that the Utah Jazz scored 137 points.
That's fine.
They seem to stink in the fourth quarter every single game. And I'm sorry for the role reversal that is today. I just apologize for it up front. I don't see it.
Yeah.
I don't see it. This
role reversal is I'm captain positive and I'm normally down on everyone.
We're going to the playoffs. You still can't stop a nosebleed in the fourth quarter. You can't get a rebound. And I'm supposed to believe you got it all figured out?
It's not all figured out, but they're trending in the right direction.
Okay, no doubt.
They're trending in the right direction.
They're healthier. Sure.
They're healthier, and they're about to get healthier.
Yeah. And there's some players who are now playing well.
And the schedule is, lightening up. They've got the third easiest schedule down the stretch in terms of winning percentage. So they're going to get more wins based on the schedule. I know they've got 3 and 4 nights coming up, and then next week they got 3 more in 4 days. I think it's a bit of a gauntlet, in part because of the makeup games that they had to have rescheduled. So it's not going to be easy. You look at the West, though, there are 10 teams, and the other 5 teams are fading away. So it feels like a play-in berth. It's not guaranteed, but it's pretty secure right now.
I agree with
where
that.
They are.
They're not going to, yes. I don't want to say it that firmly, but I'd be surprised if Utah or anybody else caught them from behind.
For the 10.
Yes.
So if you want to go ahead and give them the 10 right now, which nothing's earned at this point in February.
And yuck also.
I'm with you on that.
The 10 is yuck.
The 10 is yuck.
Brandon, yuck.
Thank you, Peter King. The 9 is also a little bit yuck. It's just yuck at home. And then if you get to the 8, okay, the 8 is still not, hey, we're the 8.
Yeah.
But at least if you're the 8, you've got 2 cracks at it.
Yeah.
You can lose and then win. If you lose, and you've done that before, it's not what you're looking for. But I think the 8's in play. The 7's a possibility. The 6 for me is a bit of a long shot based on the top 6 teams and where they look.
It's not out of the question.
I do think that they're playing better. And yes, winning 140 to 137 against Utah is not ideal. They were at the end of a back-to-back, and they had played 4 games in 6 nights, and they were going into the break, leaking oil. So I'm not trying to sit here and make excuses because that's not normally my bit. Normally I bury people.
That's right.
And you're out there giving the benefit of the doubt.
I got flowers.
Yeah.
And I give them out.
Not today. You got dead flowers. Well, and they're black roses. And I get that.
Listen, I'm not burying anybody. I'm not dismissing anybody's chances. I just think that, and by the way, even in the 8 of 10, like how close was it to being 10 of 10? You know what I mean? Those losses even go back to the beginning, the Lakers and the Kings, those 1-point losses, like the Warriors are playing much better basketball, and they are viable, they're watchable, they're interesting. Good God, they're the Warriors. But feels a little bit to me like some people saw the last 3 weeks leading up to the All-Star break. You kind of think like, winning it all is back in play. And I think that's a little silly.
Agreed. If I put the over-under on playoff wins at 4.5.
I would take, right now?
Yes.
God, I would take the under.
Exactly.
Because they're going to have to win games to even get into the playoffs.
They're going to have to win out of the play-in, and then that would mean you would win a series.
And that series is going to be against Denver or Minnesota or Oklahoma City.
Yep. Yeah. You've played Denver tough.
Yes.
And Minnesota, I still believe, is a little bit of a paper tiger. It's a bad matchup.
A rough matchup.
Agreed. They've got so much size and length that it's a bad matchup, but I do think the championship pedigree would lead many of our fans, our listeners, to say, yeah, they could beat Minnesota or Denver.
Well, sure, and they could. They could. Yeah, they could do anything.
It's difficult. The best route for them to win a series would be to get to the 6, and that's a little bit of a long shot right now based on what the standings are.
Well,
and, right now you are 5 out of the 6, and you're also 5 out of the 5.
By the way, the 6 gets you a series with the Clippers, who you think are going to the NBA Finals.
Yeah, I think the Clippers are going to win the whole thing.
They're going to win the whole thing.
If they stay healthy, I think they're the best team in the West, and I think that something about the Clippers makes me feel like it's their time. They have a great coach. They've got Kawhi Leonard, and when healthy, he's one of the 7 best players in the league, and Paul George and Harden and Westbrook, and they have size and versatility.
You know their roster. Yes, you do.
They're dangerous, Mark.
Of course they are. They're dangerous.
The one thing about them
I think the Thunder are going to win the West.
The Thunder are awesome. I love the Thunder.
Yeah.
And the Thunder have been building this thing for 5 years to get to this point. But the West will be interesting because you've got good veteran teams near the bottom of the playoffs, and then you've got young unknown at the top. So I would love to see the Warriors at least get a piece of that. And you have the Adorables, who are the 8 right now. Let's get the Adorables as the 8 and the Warriors as the 7. And let's duke that out one more time.
Gosh, they're 5 full games behind the Pelicans for the 6.
That's a lot. With 29 left.
Yeah, that's a lot.
And in the NBA, you don't really do the up and down like you do in baseball. It takes a long time to gain traction in the NBA.
And the Suns, I should say the Suns too. The Suns and Pelicans have the same record. They're tied. They're 5 and 6. The Suns have the tiebreaker at the moment, but they're 5 full games. 4 in the loss column. I get it. Right. 4 in the loss column. So it's not out of the question.
They're playing 600 ball, which means that's 49 and 33 if they keep that pace and they wind up the year at a 600 winning percentage. So 49 and 33.
You're talking about the Suns and the Pelicans.
Correct.
Yes.
The Warriors would have to go 22 and 7 over the last 29 to get to that level. 22 and 7.
Not crazy.
It's crazy.
It's not crazy.
When was the last time that the Warriors played 22 and 7 ball over 29 games?
Over 29 games. I mean, I would imagine it was somewhere near the start of last season.
Or the championship year.
Yeah. It's not I don't think it's likely. Right. I don't think it's like banana brained.
Right. It's
possible.
Right. It's possible.
It's not like crazy basketball. It's very, very good.
It's a leap. And when you've played 509 ball all year.
So that's what I'm getting. So where are we going?
We're going to the play-in game. We're going to LA. Then we're going to Sacramento. Then we're going to Oklahoma City.
But no, like, where is this conversation going in Joe Lacombe's head? Where's it going?
It's going to next year is where it's going.
You know what I mean? Like, I think and that's, I'm not throwing a wet blanket on anything. I'm here. I'm here for tomorrow night. Like, forget I don't know what the hell's going to happen after that. You know what I mean? Great players can get hurt on all teams. I don't know what's going to happen next, right? Philadelphia thought they were going to win a title. Then the next night, Joel Embiid is out, and that's the end of that. I don't know what's going to happen. But, I mean, as I sit here and look at this now, everybody keeps doing all of these if scenarios. Well, if they do this, then we're going to stay together. But if they do that, then there are going to be major changes. What the hell's the difference between this and that? Are you telling me right now that the Golden State Warriors' opportunity to stick with their core, re-sign Klay Thompson, and have the 3 amigos ride off into a statue sunset together and retire as Warriors, are you telling me that their opportunity to do that rests on the Warriors going approximately 22-7 or better, and then doing what when they get to the playoffs? And sell me on what it would need to look like for you to want to go status quo. You would want something other than major changes. You want to keep riding it out and running it back. What needs to happen the rest of the way that everybody keeps throwing out there as a possibility?
They need to go on a run. They need to either make the playoffs as a top 6 team, which is unlikely, or they need to get in the play-in, win a game or two as needed, get into a series and win that series, or at least make it close. Give Denver a real scare.
Okay.
Or, Oklahoma City's a team that you had dead to rights twice, and you let them off the hook.
Yeah, in regular season games. Sure.
Right, and you're the team with championship pedigree.
Sure.
So let's say you make it in as the 7. You wind up as the 8. You win the play-in game, so you get the 7 seed.
All right.
You face OKC, and you knock them out. And then you advance, and you take on, it would be the 3-seeded Clippers,
Yep.
and the Clippers get you. Because
Okay.
the Clippers are the eventual NBA champs, and you lose to the Clippers in 6 or 7.
Okay.
That, to me, is enough to send a signal to the owner that, you know what? We had some hardship this year. We're close.
Interesting.
Let's run it back.
Interesting.
I think that kind of thing, that kind of a run, if you wind up the year, forget 22-7. Let's say you wind up the year at, would that be 19-10, and you go on a real run,
Okay.
and you get the 7 or the 8, and you're a team with momentum, and Draymond's back and he's behaving, and Klay is a 6-man and thriving, and Wiggins, he's reemerged. He's actually back to
Yes.
he's back to two-way wins.
He's like there, like
you found something in Pods, and Kuminga's
Yep,
legit,
yep,
and
okay.
all the rest of it.
Okay.
It's like your team is humming,
Yep.
and then you beat OKC. Oh my goodness!
Yeah.
And you get to May, and you know what? The Clippers get you like the Lakers got you last year. Last year, you had that kind of a run, and then you ran it back. Not only did you run it back, you brought in Chris Paul, and you tried to give it one more good veteran shove.
Oh, be more cynical than that. You're way more cynical than that. I
don't do cynicism.
Wait, stop with they brought in Chris Paul to give it another college try. They brought in Chris Paul because there was one flipping way to get Jordan Poole out of town. And
I
that
don't
was
believe
it.
that at all.
Oh, stop. You know better than that.
I will not allow you to paint me with a cynical brush.
You think that the Warriors are like, you know what we need? Look at our roster.
Veteran point guard presence. We need the point guard.
We need someone even older.
We need the point guard.
We need an old guard. I'm looking around at this roster, not seeing enough old guards. Give me one more old guard.
Not the old guard, an old guard.
What is this, like the NBA version of Ocean's 11? I think we need one more. Come on. This is not what went down.
I don't think I like the cynical mark at all.
They got Chris Paul because they needed to get JP the heck out of town, and there was one place to do it and have that contract come off the books the next year. One place. And it was the Washington Wizards. You'll never hear from Jordan Poole again. And after this year, you'll never hear from Chris Paul again either. Be more cynical. I know it's in you.
I don't do
cynicism. It's in there. Oh, it's in there.
If they go on a plucky little run, shout out the lovely Christy.
Love that word.
If they go on a plucky little run and get the 8, and then they beat the 7, and they beat OKC, and they get into the Western Conference semis, and the Clippers just get them in that 7-3 matchup, well, darn it. It was a good run. Let's run it back.
I mean,
well, aw shucks.
How times have changed.
Yeah, big time.
I remember the conference semifinals, game 6 last year, people were mad. Apparently this year, they'll be like, wow, yay.
It's not about people. It's about Joe Lacob.
This is a nice little fun journey that we went on.
Joe Lacob would have gotten playoff revenue times about 6 games. Yeah, and I think that if you look at the other side of it is, let's say over the next 29, the Warriors go 14-15, and they wind up the year 41-41, and they limp in, and you're the 10, and you play the Adorables, who are the 9, or you play LeBron as the 9, and you lose that game. Well, now Joe Lacob is not getting playoff revenue, and now Joe Lacob is looking at a team that was 41-41, and I think he looks at things a little bit differently than he would in the other scenario.
You're turning my stomach with this idea that Joe Lacob is making this organization about whether or not they can grab some playoff revenue on their way to baseball season. Like, yuck.
Well, how's he looking at it then?
He's looking at it like, how quickly can I be the dog again? That's what he says in press conferences. That's our job. And be amazing every single year, and we will. Okay. So now we're like, I mean, plucky? That's what we're going for?
Well, what else is there?
Well, that's my point. That's my point. What is it that's on the table that would make anyone think the right thing to do is not only status quo, but status quo another full year from now? I want everything I see another year older, and I want to do it again.
But what's the alternative?
I don't know. You just told me that they're going to be in on every star who's available this offseason.
Well, if they are, then you're not doing status quo. That means Klay is gone, CP is gone, and Wiggins is probably gone if you're looking to bring in a star. But if you go on a nice little plucky run, shout out Christy, and you make it into May, and you give a scare into whoever you face, you might be more motivated to run it back. I also think the Steve Kerr piece is one that cannot be ignored.
100%.
Because
go there. What do you think?
Well, do you want to pay a coach $15 million a year to preside over the demise of your team? You don't.
Okay, you don't. Except for I'm always interested by those comments because I don't think that Joe Lacob, at least the way his brain works, would ever be like, all right, let's gather everybody around the table. Who do we want to coach our demise? That's not the way he's looking at it.
Right.
Who do we want to coach what we've got and what our game plan will be into the future, and how quickly can we get our butts back on top of the mountain? How quickly? As quick as possible. No demise.
Right.
Not signing up for demise.
But are you going to sign a coach for 6 years and $90 million, knowing that Steph is going to be done in 3 years and that Draymond's gone and Klay's gone, and then you're going to be left with this head coach who is going to be presiding over a team full of young guys?
I really argue against this idea that the Warriors as an organization right now are terrible at developing young players. I heard this conversation earlier with Steiny and Goo. I found it fascinating. I want to argue against this for a second. I know those of you who think Steve Kerr can't develop a young player, I know you think you've got a lot of evidence in your corner. James Wiseman's not a good basketball player and was constantly hurt, so let's wipe that to the side. Has Jonathan Kuminga now developed? That's a yes. Whatever any of us think about Jordan Poole, did he develop out of the end of the first round to somebody who got $130 million, yes or no? Okay, so there's that. Outside of that, what young player are you holding against him? When any veteran coach, when given the rosters that he's been given over the last 10 years, would be a moron if he spent all of his time developing young players. We out here with the best players in the world trying to win a championship. I don't care about somebody you drafted, Jacob Evans, in that. Who cares?
Man, Justinian Jessup.
But who cares? In those moments, who cares? Right? So that wasn't his job. His job was to win. The transition and trying to blend the whole we still got Steph, but we got young players. Let's acknowledge that that's difficult. There have been bumpy moments, but they've arrived. By the way, I know it's early to do this, but Brandon Podziemski, is he not developing? Do you not like what you see?
Yeah.
Are you not entertained?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I this idea that Steve Kerr can't be the coach because somebody might be 22 on the team, yes, he can.
Of course, but do you want to pay a coach $15 million a year if you are in that transitional phase?
Why
and
not?
when Steph is gone,
it's not touching
and
the cap.
Klay's gone, and Draymond's gone, but it's Joe Lacob's money. It's real money.
He's been throwing luxury tax money into the Bay on the annual.
But that's for players. That's for the on-court product.
No, it's for nothing.
It's not for the coach.
It's for tax.
No, but it's for players who you pay to be over the tax. It's not like you're paying a coach to preside over the inevitable transition, because I don't think that you're going to go from Steph to now we've got the next greatest superstar who we're just going to go out and trade for. We're just going to go out and grab from another team. That, I think, is pie in the sky mentality.
You offered Bob Myers, who wasn't even sure if he wanted to be here, $12 million a year.
Right. And he said no.
Right. But like, why are we so like, are you going to give him $15 million a year? This change. Chump change.
Well, then why hasn't he?
Don't make $15 million this weekend.
Why hasn't he given him $15 million?
I don't know.
Maybe he wants $20 million.
I don't know. Steve,
maybe he doesn't want to do it anymore.
Steve has intimated. No, well, Steve, then he's a liar, and I don't think he's a liar.
He said he wants to be here. He wants to keep doing it. Yeah, he said it to us repeatedly.
And he has repeatedly said that this is just negotiating. It's just money. I think this is when we compare this to Bob Myers' situation, I think this is very different. I don't think Bob really knew, and maybe he did. Like, maybe he knew he didn't want to keep doing it.
Right.
But Bob, the whole year last year was like, yeah, right? Let's focus on this year. Steve has never even batted an eye when he gets asked. I want to coach. I want to be here. I have no designs on stopping. Clear as day, right?
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. I mean, you've got me as far as why it's not done yet.
Late February.
I have seen no reason why not, but there is one.
Yeah, and deadlines for action, and we're not to the deadline yet.
Sure.